So I've unmuted all today. First is Anurag from UK. Anurag, welcome.
So Swamiji,
Nice to see you.
yeah, it's the same here. It was wonderful talk, and to see you. Obviously, we talked many times, but to see you though virtually, but kind of I feel I'm seeing you in real time. So that's a great experience, I would say. Thank you for the talk.
Thank you. Anything you want to discuss or?
Yeah, it was quite profound. I think the way you explained the origin of ego, or rather, I should say, the non-origin of ego. It can't come from the inert body and mind because they are inert. And on the other hand, our true self, pure consciousness, is nirguna. It's not supposed to, it won't do anything, so it can't be there. So just thinking deeply on that thought, then when we talk about ignorance, then where ignorance lies? It can't lie in the inert object, neither in the so-called consciousness. Then who seeks moksha and who gets it?
Yeah, because even the one who seeks moksha is unreal. The jiva is unreal. So the unreal seeks the unreal. Unreal seeks the moksha, but actually it does not seek. If from there are two standpoints on this. That is, one is the Vyavaharika standpoint and one is the Paramarthika standpoint. So from the Vyavaharika, the jiva exists. I am the jiva, I am in bondage, I seek liberation. But from the Paramarthika view, from the standpoint of the Atman, there is no jiva at all. So if you read the Mundaka Upanishad, then it says at one place, the highest truth is that there is no seeker of liberation at all. Because if you admit the reality of that seeker, then he can never be liberated. If one is truly in bondage, if bondage is the essence of our nature, we can never be liberated at all. We can be liberated only when the concept of bondage is an illusion, it is a mistake. So, till we are in this state, we will have to be content with this. Yeah, it is a mystery. And even the great Shankaracharya says that it is mystery. In Vivek Chudamani, he says that this ignorance, this Maya is nirvachaniya, because you cannot describe it. It is, but actually it is not there. How can you describe something like that? So even when great saints can't describe it, it is impossible for us to describe it. Something which is not there. But till we experience it, it is there. That is all we can say.
Thank you, Swami. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. So, Ashok Babu, is this you? Ashok on top?
Maharaj Pranam, we are really sorry that we couldn't make it. We are not, Raja was not well. But let me ask you one little question. Without ego, we don't exist.
Without ego, we don't means when you say I don't exist, who is this I?
Yeah, but how do you function without ego?
Who needs to function?
Yeah, but as long as we are alive, we have to live in this world.
Who is alive?
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. That if you believe that we are not alive, then of course there is no question of.
I'm asking you, when you say without ego I cannot function.
Yes.
Who is I?
Yeah, but that is the ego.
Then what are you saying? Without the ego cannot function.
No, we see that because we have got this I-ness or ego, we are in this world.
Again, you are not answering my question. When you say I am in this world because of this I-ness, who is this I? I am asking you. Who is this I?
This I is this consciousness or purusha or whatever you call it. We borrowed from them.
Then you are telling a wrong thing, because you are saying that consciousness cannot exist without ego, which is wrong. This is the problem. This is the problem. This is the main problem. That is what saints and teachers teach us. This is a wrong conception. When we say we cannot function without the ego,
Yes.
who is this we? Who is this we? This we cannot be the Atman, because the Atman can of course exist without the ego. So actually what you are saying does not make sense, because you are saying I, Ashok Chakladhar, cannot function without the ego. If you are saying that, it makes no sense, because Ashok Chakladhar itself is the ego.
Yeah,
So
but
this has to be thought. Don't answer. You think about that. It is not so.
okay, all right. Thank you.
Thank you. Maitreyi ji.
Pranams Maharaj. Thank you for a wonderful talk. A lot to think about. Very good. You could probably give 5 of those talks. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Dipali di.
Pranam Swami.
We did not read
Good lecture, thank you.
Thank you. Deepu ji.
Namaste, Swamiji. Thank you for a lovely talk, huh? Ego is a difficult thing because people have ego. Some of them have tremendously unhealthy egos. We are seeing war. We are seeing misappropriation of funds, huh? So the ego, which is attached to the I, the small self, is hurting itself. Even if you win the war, everyone's exposed to the same chemicals and the same toxicity. So
Yeah.
no one wins.
Nobody wins actually.
No one wins in a war, and it's all because of the very strong ego that
Absolutely.
is attached to the small self.
Absolutely.
But such ancient knowledge and penetration in the world is very little. Less than 1% understand this or even think about it.
That is the rule. What can be done? It has been the same through all ages.
Hello, Maharaj. Hello.
Hello. We can't see
Greetings.
you.
Greetings.
Now I can see you. Okay.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, very well.
Thank you.
Everybody
Thank
can
you.
hear.
That was beautiful. I really got a lot out of that. And I am so happy that we talk about the permanent solution in samadhi. Well, at least we have a temporary one, solution to to this horrible ego that's holding us back from being the true self. So I have to think about that constantly and surrender and, get this ripe ego going at least. That's all we can do. And I love that you referred back to Thakur's saying about it. Yes. So I guess maybe one question.
Sure.
We have so much trouble not identifying with the mind. It takes us so many places, and especially when things are bad and we're down and we're depressed or we're so shaken by horrible events. Is there anything we can do when we're in that state to de-identify ourselves temporarily?
Yeah, that is called spiritual practice, no? That is
Yeah.
what you said. That is called spiritual practice. That
Yes.
in the few words, Swami Vivekananda has given the exact answer to what your question is.
Okay.
In his talks with Vivekananda, if you just go through, he tells Sharat Chandra Chakravarti that in this world, you will be all the time, you will be shaken by all kinds of vicissitudes, the changing states of the mind.
Yes.
One day you may be happy, one day you are sad. But he says, amongst all these, never cease to think of actually who you are, what your real nature is. So, and if we find this a little difficult, for me, I find this little difficult. So, what you can do is, the best thing is think of God. Think of your chosen ideal. Whether Jesus, Buddha, Ramakrishna, anything. That what happens is, when you that is what the mantra is meant for. That is what remembrance of God is all about.
Yes.
That when these things happen, again and again, you take your mind to that one place of rest. In that, there is no change, and that is the only reality.
Yes.
So when you constantly make this a practice, then what happens is all these things do happen, but they cannot shake us to that extent.
Right.
When we another very good practice which Aishwari told is that surrender, feeling of surrender.
Yes.
That God, whatever happens through your will, that will happen, I know. But only please give me such strength that even in the midst of you, I can remember you. Remembering God is what? Remembering God is same as remembering the Atman.
Yes.
So when this has been done for many, many years, and when this has become ingrained in our nature to some extent, then what happens? Even when all this confusion is there, and we are in the midst of it, one portion of our mind will tell us that, oh, ultimately all these are unreal. These will come and go. So if something doesn't stay, why give importance to that? The only thing real is God. That nobody can take us away from, because that is our own nature. So then we find a sort of oasis in our mind in the midst of all this desert.
I see. Yes.
But this has to be done diligently with great alertness. That is what spiritual practice is all about. That is why all the great saints tell us to repeat the name of God constantly. Why? Because that repetition joins us to that reality. And these things which disturb an ordinary man to such a great extent, they lose their hold over us slowly but surely if we keep on practicing this.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Hoping to see you again in Vancouver soon. Yeah.
Yes, yes. I'm making a plan and I will inform you about it. Thank you.
Wow. Great.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Oki.
Yes, thank you very much, and lots of thinking I have to do. I have a question about the sun and the cosmic space. And
Cosmic space.
Sun and cosmic.
My God, I am not an astrologer, Mr. Oki. I don't know much about those things.
But the sun is, like a source of life and consciousness and
Huh?
Atman.
Sun is not the source of consciousness.
No? Oh, I see.
Sun is a symbol. If you are studying in the Indian perspective, for everything, till we actually realize the Atman or God or self, we have to have a sort of symbol through which we can worship God. Because without a symbol, our brains cannot imagine anything.
I see.
So the sun is accepted as a very good symbol of God, as good as can be found in matter. Why? Because like the self is self-revealing. The self does not require anything else to reveal it. Similarly, the sun is also self-revealing. Nobody has to give light to the sun to reveal the sun. So in that sense, it is called a symbol of God. And of course, when you worship something as a symbol of God, you think that it is conscious, it is living, etc. But if you think in ordinary terms, then nothing is conscious except God or the Atman.
Okay. And I think everything in the universe is power of energy, source of akasha and the prana, spirit.
Yes, that we will discuss later. That is Akasha and Prana. This is a wonderful contribution of Swami Vivekananda, which at least I have not found mentioned anywhere. So now what I am trying to do is give ourselves a general conception of the mind, how it functions, what are its properties, what are the constituents, subconscious, conscious, all that we have discussed. We have gone into very great detail. So now, after this, we finish this avidya portion. Maybe yesterday I was thinking,
Okay.
now we can go to the practical aspect of yoga.
Okay.
Now we have an idea of the mind, how it functions, etc. Now we can go into the practical aspect, that how this mind has to be subdued or concentrated or controlled. So when we do that, then I will discuss it according to what Swami Vivekananda has said. So that concept he has discussed in when he discusses Raj Yoga. Before they actually discusses the sutras, what you told about the Akasha and Prana, he discusses.
Good.
When we come to that, we will discuss it. It is a very unique contribution.
So I'll wait for that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So when do you plan to come to our society before I get liberation or not? Anyway, okay.
Thank you.
Namaskar, Swamiji.
Namaste.
Very wonderful talk, but a lot to think about. And I at least know that I'm not even near that. But one question towards the end of the talk, you mentioned Dvaita Samadhi and Advaita Samadhi. So what is the real difference? Because you said only reality comes in the Advaita Samadhi.
No, I did not say, I did not discuss anything about the Dvaita Samadhi. I just said that Sri Ramakrishna says that the ego can disappear only in Samadhi.
Yes.
That is what Sri Ramakrishna says. Because even when we are convinced that the ego is not good, we reason within our mind. I cannot be dull, dead matter. I cannot be the mind. I am the witness. So Sri Ramakrishna says that you can reason. It is good to reason like this. But even if you mentally cogitate and reason 1,000 times, just by that the ego will not go. If you want to get rid of the ego, he says, you have to raise your consciousness to the height of samadhi, when you are completely disengaged from matter, actually disengaged. Only then the ego will go.
But people who are not at that level, but
that
maybe
is why he
one
gives the
notch
solution.
below.
That is why he gives the solution, that since the ego will not go completely, let this ego remain, this I, if it is not going away, then let it remain as a devotee I.
Yeah.
One way to think of I is that I am such and such a person, I am so great, I am so wealthy, I am so intelligent. But another way of seeing this I is that I am nothing. God is the only doer. I am just the instrument. God is the only reality. I am just a humble devotee of God. So if in that way that ego remains, then we cannot do harm to us. So till
Then what is Jivatma, Swamiji? We talk about people who can come down from Samadhi and then still are free from everything.
that is called Jivan Mukta, not Jiva.
Jivan Mukta, sorry.
That Jivan Mukta means liberated while living. That is
Right.
Jivan means life. So
Right.
those who are living means those who are still in their body. But in spite of that, they are mukta. They are liberated. Because they have realized the highest spiritual state at some time or the other in their life. So once you realize that, you are liberated. Then even if you come down to the normal state, the world cannot deceive you. That Swamiji has described this beautifully. He says that you are going in a desert, you see a mirage, Hmm. So you are seeing a mirage after mirage after mirage. Now you suppose you feel thirsty. You rush towards the mirage, but you don't find any water there. Then the next time when you see a mirage, you won't be fooled because you know it is only a mirage. This is the example he gives. So we who have not experienced that state at all are fooled by this world. Fooled means what? We take the non-eternal for the eternal, we take the impure for the pure, we take the non-self for the self. But when these people, great saints, when they come down from that state, they cannot be fooled any longer. That is called the Jivan Mukta state. They are actually liberated. Now they are just waiting for their body till the body is driven by karma. They will be in the body. After the body is gone, destroyed, they will attain final revelation, which is called Videha Mukti. Videha means without a deha, without a body. So Jivan Mukta is one person who has realized the highest truth, who has experienced God, but he is still amongst us. Like Sri Ramakrishna was, Swami Vivekananda was, Jesus Christ was, Buddha was, all saints. And when ordinary people, they attain samadhi and they get liberation, they are called Videha Muktas. So till they are in body, they are Jivan Muktas. So it is said that ordinary people sometimes don't come back. Sri Ramakrishna has said that sometimes due to the will of God they can also come back. But prophets remain in the body for the good of humankind. So all these great people, incarnations of God and other very great saints like Swami Vivekananda and all, although they had achieved that state, but God wanted them to do His work through them. So their body continued after some years also. But though they were in the body, they were mukta, they were liberated. That state is called Jivan Mukta.
Thank you, Swami.
Thank you so much. Purvidhi and Adi Babu.
Namaskar, Maharaj.
Namaste.
It was a brilliant exposition on a very important aspect of spiritual journey. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Pranam Maharaj, today's lecture was really very deep. Have to think about it a lot. But today's question answers were equally good. I mean, I got a lot from all the answers you gave. I mean, I shouldn't say I got a lot. I mean, it was very, I mean, I really had learned a lot, I should say, yeah, from your answers, because the questions were really wonderful, and the way you turned up each question, towards the actual subject, it was amazing. And all these things we hear, hopefully someday, maybe with Thakur's grace and Guru's grace and Mother's grace.
No, maybe. There is no maybe. It has to be. Yeah.
That is a good, attitude. Has to be. I think you are right. Has to be. Thank you, Maharaj. Very good
Thank you so
attitude.
much.
Yeah. Thank you. Pranam, Maharaj.
Thank you. Mr. Shom. Oh, sorry, I muted you again. I clicked on that. Please unmute yourself. Yeah, now we can hear.
Just wanted to thank you. It was a wonderful discussion, and especially the first time that I really made the link of how to get rid of egoism on a more practical basis. And the devotee eye is such a powerful concept. And I think of my father, who used to always say, do everything in the service of God. And I never really maybe made the link of why that was so important. And I think today I understood. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Pranam Maharaji.
Namaste.
Is that ahankar and smita is same thing?
Absolutely same. You have got the right point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely same. They are two words for the same phenomenon.
Okay. And the seva and surrender is the way to make the ego milder. Is
Yes.
it what is it?
Yes,
Is it what?
that is also true. That is also true.
And last one is that the Gita, when Bhagavan Krishna says, I am the doer and don't get yourself attached with the result, is it what he is saying is that as soon as you get rid of the result, your ego is gone and you are a path to certain dilution of the ego?
As soon as you get the result, if you say that if you get rid of the result is putting the cart before the horse.
No, attachment of the result.
Yeah, so when you say when you get rid of attachment to the result, the path opens, that is putting the cart before the horse. Because only when the ego has been reduced to an almost insignificant thing by spiritual practices and by constantly thinking of God, only when it has been reduced to a very, very small proportion in comparison with what we have now, only then can we get rid of this attachment to the result. So getting rid of the attachment to the results of our work is a very, very high state. We should not think that just because Sri Krishna has told it in one shloka, karmani eva adhikaraste,
Yeah.
we should not think that it is easy. It is a life work. So this thing has to be attacked in two ways. That is why Sri Krishna points out so many paths. That one way is if you reduce the ego, the expectation of the result from your karma will also reduce. And another way is if you work unselfishly without expecting anything, then by that also ego will reduce. So these two have to go together.
Thank you, Maharaj. Is it that is the seva? Is that we can say?
Of course, that is one very good path.
Okay. Thank you, Maharaj.
Thank you so much. So those who are here, 1 minute, I'm changing the mode so that they can also hear you. This is audio setting.
Hello.
Yeah, Swagato.
Maharaj, for us who have almost no hope of samadhi or jivan mukti, is there any way to go from this pasha army to Vedanta?
This is the way, no? This is the way. Spiritual practice is meant for only for that. All the things which Sri Ramakrishna said, first starting from holy company, taking the name of God, prayer to God, service, self-surrender. These are in very short, these are the main spiritual practices. So these are all the means for, these are all only the means for reducing the ego.
Yes, but even without going to samadhi, we can actually have that final Vidya Mukti, or that has
No, Vidya Mukti means going to samadhi. Those two are one and the same thing.
after that, right?
Yeah, but even while we are there, while still we are living, if the ego remains only to the extent that I am a devotee of God, then it can do nobody any harm. It cannot do harm to us also. So that ego cannot be get rid of completely without that samadhi. That is true. But if by spiritual practices the bad part of the ego is nearly completely gone, then what is the harm if it remains also? So that ego is sometimes kept by saints and sages so that they can do good to the world. That is why when Swami Vivekananda asked Sri Ramakrishna, I want to be in samadhi. He said, you fellow, I thought you will do good to others and you want your own liberation right now. So he kept that in Swamiji because, as we have said, no kind of work, no kind of experience, no kind of interaction is possible without this identification. So even if they want to do good work, you have to have this ego, no? But that is a very purified ego. So our aim is to purify our mind. A pure ego is nothing but a pure mind, that's all. So when we purify it by our spiritual practices, then till death it will remain till we attain that state, but it will not cause any problem, it will not cause any harm. That is good enough, no? That is the thing.